Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namini Namaste Sarasate Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunnavadi Paschata Deshatari Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Adaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrin Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Adaita Gadadhar Siva Shadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Hare Krishna, dear Prabhus and Mothers. I'd like to welcome you on this beautiful session of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, where we left on last Wednesday. We are going to begin from there. Nice to see you, Ajit Prabhu. You are back. Hare Krishna.
So nice to be back. Thank you so much. Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you. Hare Krishna. So let us begin chapter 9, text 11 and 12. So in order to purify our consciousness, we are begging, requesting the Lord of Consciousness to help us to remove all unwanted imposition on our consciousness and bring our pure consciousness back so we can approach and serve Him. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritam Naranchaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudiraya. Nasta Prayesu Abhadresu Nitam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhakti Bhavati Naistaki Mukham Karoti Vachalam Pangulangayate Girim Jatkripa Tamaham Bande Sri Guru Dinatarinam Sri Chaitanya Isharam Paramananda Madhavam Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunnavadi Paschata Desha Tarini Vancha Kalpa Taruvesha Kripa Sindhu Vacha Patitanam Pavanebho Vaishnavebho Namo Namo Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So, Prabhus and Mothers, nice to see you all. This chapter began with that in any progression, whether is material or spiritual, idea begin with same. That you go to an expert, we call guru, or materially also they have to go to expert to get anything you want to be successful. Under guru's guidance, we study. When idea develops, further new desire comes in our life and create new thoughts, then the movement of the mind has to, because through mind we are going to deliver ourselves. Krishna says 6.5. So first idea, the developing desire. Yes, I want to develop, I want to be Krishna devotee, I want to serve the Lord. This idea has to be contemplated. Then the movement of the mind, in other words, mind has to accept it. It's not like a mind will accept it. We have to impose on the mind. I am going to do it. I am going to chant. I would love to chant. Like keep on talking million times within yourself. Prabhupada says in Teachings of Lord Chaitanya, that small book, Prabhupada wrote in the introduction, he said, one should talk to the mind every day. How important to serve Krishna. So these are very important. So first is idea, and then developing desire, then the movement of the mind, then body will follow. If we go to temple, but I did not convince myself to progress, then we will not take profit of that time invested. Yes, there are some profit. There is always profit in any relation with Krishna. But I'm talking about substantial. If we want to see substantial profit, profit in a not in a wrong way, I hope you all understand. I'm not trying to be a businessman in the spiritual life, but still we have to use that language that am I progressing? What am I talking about? Profiting. Am I advancing? Because it's supposed to give. I like that idea Mother Mukha Prabhu in our temple this morning read how Prabhupada was expressing to Krishna, that sannyasi's name, Panchadavida Swami. That's right, Panchadavida Swami. So I'm paraphrasing what it was very nice. Prabhupada is so wonderful way he elaborated. He said, so are you chanting? If you are chanting, then your consciousness, you must uplift your consciousness, period. And if you say it is not happening, so Prabhupada asks, are you saying that Lord Chaitanya formula or Hare Krishna Mahamantra is not activated? It's not working. Then he got scared, I guess, or he said, no, that means you are not chanting properly. You are not taking it seriously. Definitely Hare Krishna Mahamantra will work. So where this difference, sincerity versus insincerity, is a conscious decision. When I remember in our business trade before, I took this life, Banaprastha to Sannyas, that I was thinking seriously during business time that I don't drink soup with forks, liquid soup with forks. I mentioned this before. I don't drink liquid soup with forks because that keeps me hungry and busy. Well, I don't want to be hungry and busy and not get satisfied. So in business life, you work for profit. Spiritual life, Rupa Goswami Pad give the strategic planning. Where you are, where you want to go, and how you go, and you check the step by step. Shraddha, Sadhusanga, Bhajana Kriya, Anartha Nibriti, Nishtha, Ruchi, Ashakti, Bhav. Like there's a step by step. It's not like a just hang around, something will happen. It did not say exactly like that. Yes, hanging around it benefits, but we should be checking where we are and where we want to go. That should be very clear always in the forefront. So idea is first, then the movement of the mind, and then the body will follow. It's not that when I feel better, I'll chant. This is completely opposite. This is not accepted in spiritual progress. Or when I feel, because bhakti does not sustain on mental emotion or tribulation, physical tribulation. Oh my God, there's COVID, it better chant because people are dying due to COVID. So I remember 9/11 in San Diego, I was there. And after 9/11, for a couple months, everybody, even atheists, I was told that they, some or other, they went to some church, temple, synagogue, everywhere. Everybody, some or other, they went somewhere after 9/11 because it was such a threatening to American citizens. But then it wore out. Those who are steady, they remain steady, and those who are not steady, they went back to their previous life. So that proves that bhakti or spiritual progress or spirituality does not sustain on tribulation. Oh, I'm going to die, I'll be serious now. It's not bad, but we don't want to focus on that. Bhakti does not sustain on mental emotion either. Oh, I don't feel good. I went to temple, they like me, so I feel good, I'll go again. That should not be the purpose of going to temple. Purpose of going to temple, to express my love for the Lord, to serve, be with the devotee, association, vibrant community. We have vibrant community in Alachua. We have a lovely Sunday love feast, devotee association. Five things what makes vibrant community. Actually, we see this. I focus on these 5 things that Prabhupada says. He didn't say 5 things. He said, these are the things makes the community vibrant. So he went. First is, you have a Krishna darshan, an object of love, a deity, or a big painting you can have in the house. If you say, well, I cannot go to temple every day, okay. But make sure you have some form of Krishna in your house if you cannot go to temple every day. Then you should have a Krishna Bhakta Sangha, association of the devotee who are practicing, not the devotee who practice 10 years back and don't practice now. That's okay, you can associate, but point is association means two things: attraction to Krishna and encouragement, aspiration should be arising. If not, then it is not a good association. Okay, so then third is that Krishna Nama Sankirtan, there has to be chanting Krishna's name in this Kali Yuga, must. If association does not produce chanting Krishna's name, then it's not actually association working. And then the fourth is Krishna Shravan means Bhagavad Kirtan, Hari Kirtan, Shravan. So chanting Hare Krishna, also hearing about Krishna. And then Krishna Prasad, or honoring Prasadam. These five things Prabhupada put in one lecture. He didn't say five things. He said, these things makes. So I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Then he said, these things makes a community or a devotee house vibrant. We need vibrant. So first we conceive of doing something, then the movement of the mind, as I mentioned in the beginning, then the body began. So the idea lead us. That's the whole point. The idea, our goal, we are fully aware, then it will lead us. Idea is all important. Whatever idea we may follow, then the mind and then the body, everything will follow. That's a fact. So this chapter, Krishna gives very elaborate explanation. As we, just to refresh few minutes, that first sloka gave the idea of, in order for retaining knowledge in the heart, we have to have, I hope you all remember, non-envious mood. Otherwise, we will not be able to remember what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. I remember I read it, I forgot. Well, there is some contamination of enviousness is there. Now, we don't tell somebody, hey, Prabhu, hey, Mataji, you have an enviousness, that's why you don't remember. No, not like that. It's a self-examination. Just we need to check our own heart. Is our heart pure? Okay, then Krishna, this knowledge. This is very interesting, isn't it? Like a first verse, Krishna says in this chapter, Arjuna, because you are non-envious, this confidential knowledge will be revealed to you. Wow, it's very powerful. Just one sentence Krishna says. So how come I don't remember everything? Because I still have enviousness. And we discuss about there are 12 things, 12 key points you can check whether enviousness is there or not. And I hope you all remember that, because we cannot go every week with those 12 points. But it's good to remember at least some point, the whether we have enviousness or not enviousness. Then sloka number 2, we discuss about, I'm looking at that this knowledge is the king of education, Prabhupada translate. Most secret of all secrets. It is the purest knowledge because it gives, it's interesting how Krishna revealed. He said it is purest knowledge because it gives direct perception of the self by realization. In other words, if I break down that sentence, what I understand, we have to apply in our life practically. And then we will see we are spirit, not matter, separate from this body and the mind. We'll see ourselves. Even though we are minute, onur atma, chetosha veditebba, through the elevation of consciousness, more our consciousness elevate, we will see ourselves separate from this body. So even death comes, we will not be afraid, because I'm not dying. The body is like a garment. You come to your home, you change to your homely dress. You're not crying, oh, now my business days will be gone. No, nobody cry. I don't think so. So like this, to drop this body will not be surprising things. Because liberation means one of those symptoms. Yeah? Other day we discussed 8 symptoms. One of the symptoms is that you're not afraid of death. Prabhupada was not afraid of death. When Giriraj Maharaj asked him, like, there was a tension between India and Pakistan. So Giriraj Maharaj mentioned that a reporter came and challenged Prabhupada. So, if the Major General of Pakistan sends somebody with a gun point at you, what are you going to do? Prabhupada didn't even think for a moment. He immediately says, Krishna says, Mittu sarva haraschaham. That verse, 1034. Prabhupada said, I will see Krishna has come in the form of death. That's it. There was no fear. He will see it. So this is very nice. It's very illuminating our heart that we should not be afraid of death. Okay. So then we went to third. There's a scary that faith is something have to be within each of us. Krishna is not going to be maintaining faith for you. You have to maintain the faith and grow up with the faith. Your guru, one purport Prabhupada says about when Pandavas were leaving from this world, that Draupadi was surprised that she had 5 husbands and none of them waited for her. They all, through meditation, left this world with the same body and went back home. Now there is a 2 version. One that they went to Himalaya, that's a Mahabharata. But Bhagavatam said Yudhishthira Maharaj was literally transferred, left this world, and he gave what he got from this world back to this world, means this Panchabhuta, 5 elements back, and then he went back home. And seeing this, other 4 brothers followed the same thing. And Draupadi was surprised that none of them even helped her. And in the Purport, Prabhupada says, very interestingly, at the moment of death, Prabhus and mothers, you will fly your own flight. Figure it out. You may have all kinds of relative friends, but at the moment of death, you will fly your own flight. Scary. And in the Purport, Prabhupada said, nobody can help you, actually. You have to really maintain that strong belief that Guru Krishna will help. I'll chant, I'll try to remember. Yes, Krishna will remind you. Krishna will help. Krishna is always. But you have to also make a choice to remember him. It's not like, I don't want to think about Krishna, but then Krishna will remind you. Not like that. You want to think of Krishna. And you all know that story of this Germany Bari devotee who was not a devotee from birth. So he grew up in a Heidelberg in a family, just a nice, simple family, who used to watch news every day. And in between the news, there was a pizza ad, pizza, something like that from America. And later on, when he's young, he became a devotee and he went to Mayapur. And he crossed the Ganges. On the way back, he was drowned. Actually drowned. And while he was in this whirlpool, like keeping him under the water, he was trying his best to remember Krishna. Prabhus and mothers, he was so nicely explained that he was trying his best to think of Krishna, some or other, nothing coming in front of him except the pizza, that ad, the whole family dancing, something like that, and they sing that song, pizza, 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 pizza. And this boy used to just run down from his room to downstairs as soon as his parents call him, because that ad has come, and he would dance in front of the TV and would go back. Again, after a few minutes, it comes, he would come down and go back. Is it a really big deal? Maybe it's not a big deal, but look at the moment of death, what blocks his consciousness. To me, it is very scary. We may think it's just a silly, stupid ad, we may say. But he accepted that in such a way that it pervaded his consciousness. He loved it. He invested in his consciousness, that ad. Of course, the boatman found him finally after some time, and they brought him back to ISKCON temple. He was like halfway dead, but they revived him, the boatman, and they pulled him out, brought him to ISKCON temple, and he rested for a few days. And after 3 or 4 days, I forgot, he gave class. They asked him to speak. What was his experience? It was frightening. He said, it's not the pizza ad, it's the fear that I cannot think of Krishna. I'm trying. I could not even have a memory that I should pray. And only thing I remember, I should think of Krishna, but pizza like coming right in front of. But he doesn't want it. But he has no power to remove it. Don't ask me how it controls. We're all going to face it at the moment of death. Prepare with this. So third verse in this chapter, it scares actually. Asaddha dhana purusha dharmasya parantapa. You have to have a faith and practice. So then we discuss 4 and 5, which was a very, I would say, for the impersonalist is very confusing because they don't know how to reconcile these two verses. Krishna says, I am in everything, everything in me. Then he said, I'm not in everything, and everything is not in me. Wait, did he completely change the word? Yes. And we discussed that. It was very interesting. Yes, everything, Krishna is everywhere. At the same time, he's not everywhere because he's endowed with inconceivable potency. The potency doesn't have a separate existence. I hope you all know that. But in him. But at the same time, in other words, you can say Krishna and Krishnas. Everything is Krishna, but at the same time, everything is not Krishna. Both are correct. So that's why Prabhupada put that word Krishna and Krishnas. Krishna is a person. He also creates. Created things also him, but at the same time, not him, because they are manifested by his energy. Then text 6, understanding our free will or choice, how much. So we discussed that. And then text 7, also every millennium, how Krishna manifests everything. That was discussed. And then we discuss when living beings act according to their free will, how do they abide by within Krishna? They have their own free will. They are not surrendered soul, but then how they abide by within. So Krishna gave that example like the space. And we discussed that very nicely. It's very interesting. It's like a big ball. Within the ball, if you are like a space, you can go north, east, up, down. So our free will is there, but our free will also under his free will, under his choice. So something like that. That's why that example Krishna gave very nicely. But at the same time, he doesn't intervene in our free will. Then we discuss also this unmanifestation and manifestation, how they work, creation or annihilation. Then we discuss also if anybody put a logic, I'm trying to find the word, that you have sent the living entity into this world of suffering. Aren't you implicated by karma? Then Krishna made it very clear. These actions never bind me. Arjuna, why? Because I am situated or seated as a neutral judge. I'm unattached to these actions. I don't cause the suffering of the living entity. This is a very important point. Krishna does not cause the suffering of the living entity. It is the result of their own past karma. And then next sloka we discuss also, okay, if you are neutral, as Krishna says, Arjuna's question was, what is your role in the working of material nature then? Then Krishna very clearly says, I am its overseer. Under my supervision, this material nature gives rise to all living beings, whether it's moving or non-moving, within its rules. The universe revolves, I mean to say, living being function within the boundary of the material nature and are held accountable by its law, such as karma, law of karma. Now, Prabhus and mothers, I hope you all know, there's no way you can get out of this universe. Absolutely not possible. Bhakti is the only means you can actually escape from this material world. Bhakti is the only. No karma gyan, nothing can actually completely free you. Only bhakti. Of course, majority people in this world till today not aware of it. So we need to do more preaching. So then the question came, when you are overseer, my dear Krishna, of material nature, why doesn't everyone understand your divine position? Very nice question. Then Krishna replied, what I'm just putting into dialect form, that some people are deluded. They despise and deride me when I manifest in a human form. They don't know my higher nature as a supreme Lord of all that exist. And that's why I think we left, and we're going to start with 11 and 12. Very important verse. Both are about impersonalist mistake of taking Krishna's body to be material. He's just one of us. No, he's not one of us. That has to be corrected. So, who would like to read text 11? We read, I think, just the sloka and the translation. We didn't talk about it, but yeah, it's a little big. Yeah. Go ahead, Mother Sushilpa Devi. You raised your hand. You want to read? Go ahead.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavad.
Hare Krishna devotees. Bhagavad Gita 9.11. Avajananti mamudha manusim tanum ashritam param bhavam ajananto mamud mama bhuta maheshwaram. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Fools desire me when I descend in the human form. They do not know my transcendental nature as the Supreme Lord of all that be. Want me to continue with purport, Prabhuji?
Yes, please.
Thank you. Thank you. From the other explanations of the previous verses in this chapter, it is clear that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, although appearing like a human being, is not a common man. The personality of Godhead who conducts the maintenance, maintenance, and annihilation of the complete cosmic manifestation cannot be a human being. Yet there are many foolish men who consider Krishna to be merely a powerful man and nothing more. Actually, he is the original Supreme Personality, as if confirmed in the Brahma Samhita. Ishvara Parama Krishna. He is the Supreme Lord. There are many Ishwaras, controllers, and one appears greater than another. In the ordinary management of affairs in the material world, we find some official or director, and above him there is a secretary, and above him a minister, and above him is a president. Each of them is a controller, but one is controlled by another. In the Brahma Samhita, it is said that Krishna is the supreme controller. There are many controllers, undoubtedly, but in the material and spiritual world, but Krishna is the supreme controller. Ishvara Parama Krishna, and his body is Satchidananda, non-material. Material bodies cannot perform the wonderful acts described in previous verses. His body is eternal, blissful, and full of knowledge. Although he is not a common man, the foolish desire him and consider him to be a man. His body is called here Manusim, because he's acting just like a man, a friend of Arjuna's, a politician involved in the battle of Kurukshetra. In so many ways, he's acting just like an ordinary man, but actually his body is Satchidananda Vigraha, eternal bliss and knowledge absolute. This is confirmed in the Vedic language also. Satchit Ananda Rupaya Krishnaya. I offer my obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, who is the eternal blissful form of knowledge. Gopala Tapani Upanishad 1.1. There are other descriptions in the Vedic language also. Tam ekam govindam. You are Govinda, the pleasure of the senses and cows. Satchidananda Vigraham, and your form is transcendental, full of knowledge, bliss, and eternality. Gopala Tapana Upanishad 1.38. Despite the transcendental qualities of Lord Krishna's body, its full bliss and knowledge, there are many so-called scholars and commentators of Bhagavad Gita who deride Krishna as an ordinary man. The scholar may be born an extraordinary man due to his previous good work, but his conception of Sri Krishna is due to a poor fund of knowledge. Therefore, he is called Mudha. For only foolish persons consider Krishna to be an ordinary human being. The foolish consider Krishna an ordinary man because a human being, because they do not know the confidential activities of the Supreme Lord and his different energies. They do not know that Krishna's body is a symbol of complete knowledge and bliss, that he is the proprietor of everything that be, and that he can award liberation to anyone. Because they do not know that Krishna has so many transcendental qualifications, they deride him. Nor do they know the appearance of Supreme Personality of Godhead in this material world in a manifestation of his internal energy. Is a manifestation of his internal energy. He is the master of the material energy. As has been explained in several places, Mama Maya Duratyaya. He claims that the material energy, although very powerful, is under his control, and whoever surrenders onto him can get out of the control of this material energy. If a soul surrendered to Krishna can get out of the influence of material energy, then how can the Supreme Lord, who conducts the creation, maintenance, and inhalation of the whole cosmic nature, have a material body like us? So this conception of Krishna is complete foolishness. Foolish persons, however, cannot conceive the personality of Godhead Krishna appearing just like an ordinary man and can be the controller of all the atoms and of the gigantic manifestation of the universal form. The biggest and the minutest are beyond their conception. So they cannot imagine that a form like that of a human being can simultaneously control the infinite and the minute. Actually, although he is controlling the infinite and the finite, he is part from all this manifestation. He's apart from this all manifestation. It is clearly stated uh, concerning his yogam aishwaryam, his inconceivable transcendental energy, that he can control the infinite and the finite simultaneously, and that he can remain aloof from them. Although the foolish cannot imagine how Krishna, who appears just like a human being, can control the infinite and the finite, those who are pure devotees accept this, for they know that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, they completely surrender unto him and engage in Krishna conscious devotional service of the Lord. Krishna consciousness, which is devotional service of the Lord. There are many controversies between the impersonalists and the personalists about the Lord's appearance as a human being. But if we consult Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, the authoritative texts for understanding the signs of Krishna, then we can understand that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is not an ordinary man, although he appeared on this earth as an ordinary human. In Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, first chapter, when the sages headed by Saunaka inquired about the activities of Krishna, they said, Kratavan kilaka karmani saha ramena kesavaha ati martyani bhagavan gudha kapata manusaha. Lord Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, along with Balarama, played like a human being, and so masked, he performed many superhuman acts. Bhagavatam 1.1.20. The Lord's appearance as a man bewilders the foolish. No human being could perform the wonderful acts that Krishna performed while he was present on this earth. When Krishna appeared before his father and mother, Vasudeva and Devaki, he appeared with 4 hands. But after the prayer of the parents, he transformed himself into an ordinary child. As stated in Bhagavatam 10.3.46, Babuva Prakrita Sisu. He became just like an ordinary child, an ordinary human being. Now here again, it is indicated that the Lord's appearance as an ordinary human being is one of the features of his transcendental body. In the 11th chapter in Bhagavad Gita, also it is stated that Arjuna prayed to see Krishna's form of 4 hands. Teneva rupena chatur bhujena. After revealing this form, Krishna, when petitioned by Arjuna, again assumed his original human-like form, Manusam Rupam. There, These different features of Supreme Lord are certainly not those of an ordinary human being. Some of, should I continue, Prabhuji?
Yes. If you feel like
Thank-
somebody else can read also, if you want.
Yeah, yes, Prabhu. We can give another devotee a chance.
I can do it if you want.
Okay. Go ahead, Prabhu.
Yeah. You left it up. Some of those who deride Krishna and who are infected with the Mayavadi philosophy quote the following. Did I start from the right place?
Yes.
Okay. I'll start again. Some of those who deride Krishna and who are infected with the Mayavadi philosophy quote the following verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam 3.29.21 to prove that Krishna is just an ordinary man. Aham sarvesu bhutesu bhutat mavas tita sada. The Supreme is present in every living entity. We should better take note of this particular verse from the Vaishnava acharyas like Jiva Goswami and Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakura, instead of following the interpretation of unauthorized persons who deride Krishna. Jiva Goswami, commenting on this verse, says Krishna, in his plenary expansion as Paramatma, is situated in the moving and the non-moving entities as the super soul. So any neophyte devotee who simply gives his attention to the Archa Murti, the form of the Supreme Lord in the temple, and does not respect other living entities, is uselessly worshipping the form of the Lord in the temple. There are three kinds of devotees of the Lord, and the neophyte is the lowest stage. The neophyte devotee gives more attention to the deity in the temple than to other devotees. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur warns that this sort of mentality should be corrected. A devotee sees that because Krishna is present in everyone's heart, as Paramatma, everybody is the embodiment or the temple of the Supreme Lord. So as one offers respect to the temple of the Lord, he should similarly properly respect each and every body in which the Paramatma dwells. Everyone should therefore be given proper respect and should not be neglected. There are also many impersonalists who deride temple worship. They say that since God is everywhere, why should one restrict himself to temple worship? But if God is everywhere, is he not in the temple or in the deity? Although the personalist and the impersonalist will fight with one another perpetually, a perfect devotee in Krishna consciousness knows that although Krishna is the Supreme Personality, he is all-pervading, as confirmed in the Brahma Samhita. Although his personal abode is Golaka Vrindavan, and he is always staying there by his different manifestations of energy and by his plenary expansion, he's present everywhere in all parts of the material and spiritual creation. Haribol.
Very good. Thank you, both of you.
Thank you.
This is a beautiful. This one and the next one gives a whole clue about impersonalism. Now, of course, some of you may be thinking, or maybe did not think like that, why so much Prabhupada talks about impersonalism? Many, many lectures you will find Prabhupada literally smash the Mayavad misconception, impersonalism. I also thought, why Prabhupada talking so much? At least to me, it's like 30% of all Prabhupada's lecture is like smashing the impersonalism, Boyadism, and Mayavadism, all ism, non-devotional. So much smashing. Why is that? So, few things I found is very convincing. One was that we are born with three attachment. This is in chapter 4, text 10. In the purport, Prabhupada writes that we are born with three attachment. And if you look at those details about this attachment, it's scary. But if you are honest to yourself, you'll say, oh my God, yeah, it is there. Like for an example, first thing he says, negligence of spiritual life. How many of you saw a child is born and looking for, where is Krishna, mommy, where is Krishna? I didn't see any child yet that looking for Krishna, so they're born. So they're born with negligence of spiritual life. And then, of course, their parents are so nice, kindly brings the child and raising the child into God consciousness. They do their best. But still not everybody turn towards Krishna. They will go to Krishna when they need. If they don't need, it's okay. Why is this? So Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, in his Sri Chaitanya's teaching, one section called Imminent and Transcendent. And there, I'm going to paraphrase where I read it probably 10 times because it satisfied my answer. Why Prabhupada is so nicely explaining all this. That before acquiring designation, the living entity is supremely pure. Even though he is not engaged in serving the Supreme Lord, he remains situated in neutral position of Santaras due to the marginal nature. Though the living entity born from the marginal potency does not at that time exhibit a taste for serving the Lord. Why? Due to the lack of knowledge of self-realization. His direct propensity of serving the Supreme Lord nevertheless remain within him in a dormant state. Now, Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur explained this, though the indirect propensity for material enjoyment, which is contrary to the service of the Lord, is not found in him at that time. And Prabhus and mothers, his indifference or her indifference to the service of Krishna and the seed of material enjoyment, which follows the state of indifference, are the nevertheless present within him. So, the living entity who belongs to the marginal potency cannot remain indifferent forever by subduing both devotional and non-devotional propensities. Therefore, contemplation started, unconstitutional activities from his marginal position. As Prabhupada explained, as a sleeping person dreams that he is active in the physical world without actually being involved in activities. I'm sure you all can relate that. In the dream you are active, somebody will say, what happened? I went to Louis Bazaar. Louis Bazaar is a common thing for a devotee when they go to Vrindavan. It's a shopping place for devotional things. Even I went there a couple of times. So what happened there, when he contemplates, the dormant, indifferent living entity of the marginal potency exhibits even a little apathy to bhakti, to the service of Supreme Lord, and situate himself in a neutral. Prabhus and mothers, this is important to remember. Unchanging condition for even a little time. Each of us got infected by impersonalism. Impersonalism is a disease. Those who are not serving Krishna, they are 100% affected by that. Those who are serving Krishna, slowly, slowly, that disease will go away, impersonalism. That is why conditioned soul desire to merge in the impersonal Brahman. Some extent, even in the beginning, when somebody joins, when some tough time comes, this, leave me alone. I want to be by myself in my room, lock up the door and just go to sleep. They find some subconscious shelter because that infection is there. That's why more we serve, more we respect the devotees and involve ourselves in chanting, dancing, and developing that urges that we should serve, we want to serve the devotee and Bhagavan. Proportion to that, impersonalism will disappear. It's like curing disease. This way, aversion to the Lord breaks his concentration of mind and establishes him as the master of the world of enjoyment. I hope you all understand what it is. You may not grasp it now because you lost the taste of materialist idea, but materialist will claim, I don't have to listen anybody's philosophy. I can do whatever I want. I am nobody's servant. I'm not slave to anybody. I will figure it out by myself. Don't tell me I have to be Hare Krishna or anything. They may feel that way. How? Because of that sickness of impersonalism. So, what Prabhupada says, beautiful purport, this purport. Avajananti mam mura, the foolish people cannot understand me. So Prabhupada translated, I'm looking at the book, Avajananti has derived, so they derived me what they derived, Manushim Tonum Ashrita. They think actually he's descendant in human form. Does Krishna descend in human form? Okay. Did I descend in human form?
Yes,
Anybody?
Prabhu.
Anybody? Okay.
No.
Okay. Yes, I
Yes, I
descend.
descend.
Did Krishna
Did
descend
Krishna
in human form?
No, he had the four-handed form.
Yeah, four-handed form. But the point is, I have taken a body. Krishna did not take a body.
He's Sachitananda Vigraha.
Yes.
His body is him. When you talk about Krishna, Krishna is the body. It's not like he has a soul. I am the soul, but I'm not this body. I'm not the mind, so I am inside the body. But Krishna is not inside his body. Krishna is the body. He doesn't have a soul. So this is what majority, or I would say 100% Mayavadi impersonalist, or even proportion, whatever, I have that contamination, that is bad. If anybody comes to think like that. Because they say this. I met people who think like this. That Krishna's form is just like our form. It is like human form. It is a material form. They won't understand. Now, if you keep on contemplating, if impersonalists keep on contemplating, guess what Krishna will do? Krishna will perform a lila where somebody will shoot an arrow to his feet, which is recorded in Bhagavatam, and they will say, oh, look, he was just like us. He's also died. He's also dead now. Krishna will fulfill all your desire, whatever you want to see. You say no God, okay, Krishna will cover the, Jogamaya will cover the curtain. There is no God, don't worry. So we have to have a good association and strong desire to serve him. Otherwise, this ignorance will never go away. That's why here this verse says, they do not understand the param bhava, the transcendental nature. What is the transcendental nature? Mama bhuta maheshwara. That I am the Lord of all existence. This is the transcendental nature. Maheshwara, the world, Mahesh, is sometimes used as Lord Shiva, because they say that. But actually it is generic name. Isha is the controller. Maha means great, great controller. Prabhus and mothers, you will never find Shiva in Shiva. Origin of Shiva is not in Shiva. Show me one verse. I can show you few verses. One verse, Krishna reminded, Nijo Angsha Kalai Krishna Tamagun Angikare. This is in chapter 20, Chaitanya Chaitamita Adilila, Madhulila, chapter 20, 3 or 7, I believe. Nijo Angsha Kalai Krishna Tamagun Angikare, Sangharate Maya Sange Rudra Rupadhari. So origin of Krishna, origin of Shiva is not in Shiva. Origin of Shiva is in Krishna. But origin of Krishna is in Krishna, not in anyone else. Origin of us also in Krishna. We cannot find on our own our identity. This is very important. So if look at the context of the previous verse was saying Maya Adhakshana Prakriti. If you look at it, it is under my Adhakshata Prakriti is working, and Sri Krishna is telling something as Mama Bhuta Maheshwara. I am the Ishvara, controller of all existence. Now, what is Jnani thinks? Let's break down a little bit. Jnani means knowledge, they know liberation. When we know Krishna properly, that knowledge will lead to liberation. That is talked about in chapter 4, text 9, the famous verse. Janma karma chamedi bhamevam jovetti tattata. Tektadeham punar janma naiti mamita shorjuna. If you know Krishna's transcendental nature of his appearance and activities, when you leave this body, Prabhus and mothers, you will never come back to this material world. Happy birthday to you. Never take birth again. It's very interesting how Hare Krishna people adopt this. So nice. You never take birth again. You never take birth again. This is true. This verse says this, 4.9, if you look at it. Never he takes birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode. So knowledge leads to liberation. Now what happened the Ajnani? Those who are not, or one who doesn't know, avajananti, ignorant. Opposite to janati is ajanati. Those who do not know about Krishna, that is ignorance. Now, in one sense, ignorance about Krishna is bad, but actually misunderstanding or wrong understanding is worse than ignorance. I hope you all agree. Ignorance is, that I don't know Krishna, okay, that's bad. But taking wrong thing as a knowledge is worse. So avajananti, misunderstanding, avajananti is to know opposite of what is right. So we see that when Srila Prabhupada was sharing about Krishna in India, most people thought that they know about Krishna. Either they have conception of Krishna as cultural, historical figure. Maybe he gave some message that is not very relevant in our modern progressive time. Prabhupada actually expressed like that. Or impersonally says that Krishna is a symbol of absolute truth. Prabhu's and mother, you cannot control the time. So why you have a watch? Oh, I wear watch, so I follow the time. Okay. But Krishna's deity or Krishna's name is not like that. But some people think like this. There is another kind of ignorance. We have to, and they even say we have to go beyond Krishna to the unborn Krishna. So this is Abhajananti. That's why Srila Prabhupada came to the West. Their people were Ajananti, not Abhajananti, Ajananti. Their people know nothing about Krishna. We saw that they took up Krishna consciousness more easily. So both are obstacle like ignorance and misunderstanding. But often, Prabhus and mothers, misunderstanding can be greater obstacle, especially in terms of conceptual barriers, because it creates, as first I have to erase the mental slate of what I know, then write fresh on it, which require more effort. So of course in India, the advantage is conceptually there is misunderstanding. But culturally, there was agreement. People know about Krishna. People know about deity worship. People know about Krishna's pastime. If they wanted to devote themselves to Krishna, it is relatively easier for them. So in the West, conceptually, also it is difficult, but because it was not having any misconception, so they accepted what Prabhupada taught. And although culturally it was difficult, because their culture was so radically, you can say, tamasic at that time, drug and LSD, all kinds of thing in 60s. You read the Lilamrita. So this Abhajananti leads to continued material existence and increased bondage. So because of misunderstanding. So we can commit offenses. And these offenses leads to suffering. Last Sunday, I was talking to, I won't say the name because I respect that gentleman. He comes to temple for decades. He never got initiated or anything, never serious. He has a Prabhupada books, but it's in the shelf. So it was a very interesting that he said that ultimately we will go to, because I have a nature of poking a little bit. I said, so what happened when we die? You are coming for decades to temple. What happened when you die? He said, we go to spiritual world. I said, that's very exciting. What do you do? No, there is nothing to do. You just be there. I said, be there as a form, no form. No form, nothing. Just you are not in the material world. I said, that I understood, but what do you there? What happened to you? Do you talk to yourself like I am here? Or talk to somebody that you are there? How do you know you are there? So his wife said, we don't discuss these things. We hear this one sadhu's name in through the TV. It comes from India. And he said, when we die, we just go there and that's it. That's mukti, the done. I said, but what do? You feel like bored? If you don't do anything, you'll feel boring. Your life is already bored here. What is the fascination of going to spiritual world? At least you can eat and sleep and do something here. If there is nothing, and this man was looking at me, I didn't want to scare him. I said, I'm sorry, but it will be nice if you open those books that you bought a couple of years back during COVID beginning. Start reading it. It will help you a lot because time is ticking. Death is coming. So his wife says, thank you. We will start. I said, I'm going to catch up again. After a month, I'll call you to find out. Tell me something you read from the book. So make sure you read. Otherwise, even they hang around, they need to grasp this philosophy because they get information from here, there. It is our duty to elevate the consciousness of the entire human being. Of course, we all have an individual responsibility. We should elevate our consciousness and elevate people's consciousness. Bring them to a point where they feel they belong to Krishna. They want to serve Krishna. This is their home. They want to, because everybody belongs to Krishna. Krishna says, I am the seed-giving father, Bija Prada Pita. I am the Pita or father of all living beings. It's our responsibility to bring them home, back to Godhead. Then journey is over. But until every soul goes back home to their home, it's our responsibility. We should feel at least some extent, whatever. The problem in this material world, we are too long in this world, we became inmate. It's like Margie told me, she's a superintendent of Stark prison. I knew her. And she's, so I had a long talk about the inmate. She said when they first come, they get tortured, they get abused by the inmate, but nothing they can do. But anyhow, they have to go through this. After 1 year, 2 years, they still feel like to get out as soon as possible. They are seriously following everything. And then they get accustomed after 5 years, 10 years, too late. They start liking the prison. When they start liking the prison, then you cannot take them, you cannot teach them that, hey, you are here in the prison for what purpose? Reformation, come on, correction. This is not your home. But they like it. They don't want to go back home. Now what do? I said, is this only in the Starkos prison or everywhere? He said, oh, all over the country. When the prisoner are long time in the prison, when they spend 15, 20 years, they start liking it, they love it. They're trying to make paradise in prison, which will never take place, but they will never give up to produce the paradise. This is the problem we have. The problem we have that we start liking this material life and we lost the real understanding of real freedom and real enjoyment life of spiritual world. So how do you convince? It's difficult. It's challenging. It's challenging. That's why constantly we have to keep on going on understanding this. Okay, we went little over the time. We will do the text 12 next week. So I hope you all remember this. This is very important. This verse. Also, a key point maybe we can take away that, as Prabhupada says, all that glitters is not gold. Such saying which are present in almost every human culture highlight a vital reality in this world. So Krishna's form, another thing is the deity. Form does not always reflect substance, Prabhus and mothers. That's why we have a everyday Bhagavatam class. We study every day. Why? Because things are not the way they appear to be. Attraction to form can distract us from substance and leave us deluded. When we get attracted to good-looking people, we often overlook how they actually are in terms of character and nature. I hope you can relate what I'm trying to say. To really know a person, we need to see beyond the form to the substance. Am I right? Anybody? Yes? Yeah. Okay. So similarly, for the ultimate reality, Krishna, form and substance are non-different. if we conceive some substance beyond his form, we gravitate toward an impersonal conception. This is very important. That's why reading everyday Prabhupada's book or hearing is very important. Pursuing that conception leads to two less than desirable results. Suboptimally, we may neglect Krishna's form and seek a characteristic less substance. That is incredibly difficult to know. Leave alone love. Or far more damagingly, Prabhus and Mothers, we may dismiss the form as ultimate insubstantial. And this is what we are discussing in these two. So treating it as just a temporary embodiment for some higher substance. So when we mislead, our spiritual aspiration end up frustrated. You will find amongst your friend, family member are like that. How can we best approach Krishna's form and substance? That's the question. So I'll give you one sentence, what helped me, because I come from, I think maybe I was a demon last life or atheist, big time. Initially, when we perceive his Krishna as his deity, like in the form we have Radha Shyam Sundar here, the form is the way to the substance. It helps us. It visualize, we can visualize and remember and worship the ultimate reality. And as we evolve spiritually, we can also realize and relish that form is the substance. Appreciating Krishna as both form and substance enables us to direct our longing for beauty, love, priti, joy towards him, and thereby finding the greatest fulfillment and highest enlightenment. So what do we take away from this conclusion? We need to go beyond the form to perceive the substance in the beginning, in the material domain. But when you elevate your consciousness, then you'll see in spiritual domain, form is the substance and is also the way to the substance. Okay, I end here. Any takeaway or further discussion, or we can close? Next week. Yes, Prabhu.
I was just thinking, it seems that's the nature of the living entity is to, like you're saying, when we see a material form, we are thinking, oh, this is so attractive. And that's actually, that's what we're supposed to be doing spiritually, but we're doing it in the material world. It's our tendency to do that. It comes from our spiritual nature, but we're doing it the wrong way. And we all get entangled. We think, oh, look at that attractive form, and we run towards it, and then it comes with a whole bunch of baggage we don't expect.
Hey, it happened in Krishna Lila. Mother Joshoda and Rohini Maya, they allowed Putana to come. Only one reason. She appeared to be like demigoddess or Lakshmi, so beautiful.
Yeah.
But inside her intention was horrible, smeared with deadly poison. Yes, that can trap us. But to teach us that Krishna allowed this kind of lila, just to teach us that. But Prabhupada is very merciful. Prabhupada is very merciful. In one lecture, he said, even pretending is not bad when it's connected with Krishna like Putana. I said, like, wow. So some or other, even if people comes to Krishna, even if they don't have a good heart, eventually they will be benefited. Krishna is so merciful. Devotees are merciful. So thank you, Prabhu, for bringing that point. Okay. So looking forward to see you. Hare Krishna, Mother Ina. You have a question?
Yes. Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
So I just wanted to clarify the whole subject of the Krishna's form, because it says Krishna comes in human-like form. It's still his, you know, his godly body, right? But he's in a human form. So do we expect to see him in spiritual world also in a two-hand form as a human-like, what we say, form, or it will be different one?
He will reciprocate the form you like to relate. If you want to see him just like you see in your deity, he will appear like that and he will start talking with you. And he will probably like, oh my God, you are the same as I saw the painting in Krishna book. He can take any form. He has
But
unlimited form.
what's his real form, like his usual, or there is none which is usual?
When you use the word real form, you mean other form are not real?
Yes.
No,
So
no,
he can
no.
take any form. So, you know, you have one form which your usual self, and then you take other forms. That's how it feels.
You can say the original form. Original form. Yeah. Because all are real. All are Sachidananda form. All is manifestation. The original form, it says in Chaitanya Charitamrita Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Krishna re jataka khela sarvottama naralila narabapu tahara sarup. Gopo Besho Benukar, if you type it out in Veda base, this verse, Gopo Besho Benukar Nava Kishore Natabar Nara Lilar Hoy Anurup. His original form. Now, when Prabhupada explained it, he said, why he has this beautiful form originally as a coward boy, only you can ask Krishna. He chooses, he's a person, he has a preference. Just like you are a person, you have a preference. I like to live in Savannah, Georgia. If you don't like, you can move somewhere. Just so you have a preference. Krishna is also a person. He has a preference. So he liked to be in his original form as coward boy.
So that's the original.
Original form, but there is a very specific with flute playing, three-banded form, with his yellow dhoti and a blue turban, very and peacock feather on his, because that's what he chooses. And when you meet him, you can ask him, why did you choose this form? Maybe he'll tell you. All his form are all wonderful, but that's the original form. Srimati Radharani is Krishna. According to Prabhupada, Krishna that we worship, the original form, is Srimati Radharani is Krishna, the highest manifestation of. Thank you. That's a very nice question. Thank you. Okay,
I found
Prabhu
it.
Zen. Yes, Prabhu.
I just found it amazing. Also, we're learning from this. If we're not turning to Krishna, not turning, desiring to serve him, it's like that impersonal nature is just there in the marginal,
yes,
in the marginal soul.
That is true.
Yeah.
That is true. I don't know how to make everybody understand this, that why temple is actually inviting them to come and serve. But it's very hard. So more devotee or more outsider comes and serve, it removes their deadly disease. And this impersonalism transform. I read one article many years back of Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur. He says, Madhavendra Puri's separation feeling versus a a suicider of the materialist, how they feel. They want to exit the door, but they don't see how they will be entangled more and more, gliding down. But Madhavendra Puri feelings, separation feeling, looks like a depression also. But it's actually elevate the consciousness and it pulls Krishna so close that you see Krishna right then and there. It's almost like both are depressed, but it's completely opposite. And why I brought this example, because more we serve Krishna, then lesser our contamination will be in our heart. And eventually it has to go. Otherwise, it is the root cause of loneliness. It is the root cause of depression.
Mm.
I wish I could put a big banner all over the world that you want to get out of the depression, loneliness, come to Hare Krishna temple and serve.
Come and serve.
Yeah.
So nice.
Yeah.
Prabhu,
Thank
is the it's so fascinating when we're not envious, then we can actually retain the knowledge in our heart. And is in the purport of that first verse of the 9th chapter, is it explained the different ways to not be envious? Is that where those are?
There is a test, 12 test. I'll tell you next week. It's time consuming.
Yeah, I
We'll
want to
definitely do it next week. Thank you.
Okay.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Panchakalpataru Vishya Kripa Sindhu Bevacha. Patitanam Pavanebho Vaishnavebho Namo Namo. Srila Prabhupada ki